Whoa! Whoa! What's happening, everybody? Welcome into the Wilbur and Gold Show, episode 40 of the Wilbur and Gold Show. I'm caffeinated. I'm juvenated. And yeah, so here we fucking go, right? What's today? Tuesday? January the 20th. We are already a month removed from Christmas. Like, this first month in 2022 is almost already over. I know that's the most cliche thing to say in the world, but it's true. So, boy, got a little pinky. So, how about this weekend in football? If you don't drink coffee and you don't do energy drinks or whatever, I'm pretty sure watching, at least as a football fan, watching all four of those divisional playoff games this weekend pretty much had the same effect. Because, I mean, 3 of the 4 decided by a field goal at the end. And then, obviously, 1 of the 4, the last one, Chiefs-Bills, decided by 13 seconds in overtime, and Mahomes just put a little up in there. What a weekend, though, in the NFL. We're going to talk a little bit about it. Not going to be a long show today. Daddy's got some other stuff he's got to do, but I want to get on here and do a little show, little episode for you, if you don't mind. And even if you don't mind, just get on up out of here. You ain't got to stick around. There's the dough. Literally. So, yeah. Did not watch Saturday's games because I was just unable to get to the TV. Did watch the highlights, though. So, that would have been Packers-Niners. Obviously, Gold, the kicker for the Niners. Ryan Gold, I think his name is. I don't know his first name for sure. Don't quote me on that. That savage motherfucker kicking practice field goals while the Packers are coming out for intros. It's no wonder he kicked the game-winning field goal. It's no wonder. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers he's getting bashed, because people love to bash Aaron Rodgers. People love to bash LeBron. Honestly, you know what? That's actually the question of the day. Maybe we'll start having a question of the day, and I can post this to the different platforms and get a little engagement going here. That's the question of the day. Who do you think gets criticized more by the media, by fans, whoever, LeBron or Aaron Rodgers? Because low-key, I'm not 100% sure about that. A few years ago, I probably would have said LeBron easily because he is the most criticized athlete of all time, or one of. I'm not going to say the, but definitely one of. Probably top 3, maybe top 2. I don't know who the other one would be. But I got to be honest, these days, I feel like Aaron Rodgers is more criticized now. And I get it. He can be very snarky. He can be very passive. He can be very diva-ish, not on Antonio Brown's level, but he can be a little diva-ish. Not denying that, but God, people love to bash Aaron Rodgers. And here's where I come from on this, especially this past weekend, because you knew it was coming. You saw it coming. Here's where I sit on this. What I think is the 49ers and the Bengals, what they are doing right now in the playoffs, I believe that is the last seeds in each division, I think. Thereabout. Pretty sure. What the Bengals and the 49ers are doing right now is more impressive and is more worth us talking about than your desire to bash Aaron Rodgers. It's more important for us to be talking about that, in my opinion, and I think that's actually the truth of the matter. I would rather talk about the great thing, and that's because I'm an optimist. I'm a positive guy. Not delusional, but I'm a positive and optimistic guy. And I would rather talk about somebody's success than spending that majority of energy talking about the person who failed and how much you don't like him and, oh, well, fuck you. You knew this was coming. Like, oh, see, you had that coming. You did all that this offseason. You did all that drama this offseason only to do that. Like, oh, Brady wouldn't have done that, even though Brady did. He didn't do it like that, but he lost that round too. 2 different games, 2 different performances, though. Brady damn near pulled off another epic comeback. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I would just rather talk about how incredible what the Niners and the Bengals are doing right now in the playoffs than bash. I'm not going to bash Aaron Rodgers anyway because that's not what I do. That's not what we do here. I just think it's more important to talk about that than your desire to bash Aaron Rodgers this week. So got that off my chest. Russell Westbrook gets bashed a lot these days too. I have not been watching a lot of NBA so far this season, more so NFL. That is probably subject to change after the Super Bowl here. But, you know, I know a lot of people are blaming the Lakers' problems and struggles on Russell Westbrook. I hate how practically every time, and I get it, like you have to have certain things to talk about on a lot of these sports shows, your first takes, your undisputeds. I get it. I get so tired of every other and hell, every freaking topic on a lot of these shows is who's to blame for this person's or this team's loss? Who's to blame? Like, why is it always the blame game? Like, why can't, like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I just don't care for how they frame these things, and they probably do that to get people kind of keyed up and riled up and to get clicks. You know, I understand how the game works, the content game, I should say. You know, getting reactions out of people. It gets views, it gets clicks, it drives ratings. We get it. So I understand that side of it. I just wish things could be framed a little bit differently, as opposed to who's to blame? Who's to blame? Does this person deserve the blame? Does this person deserve the blame? Or we could talk about like the good things that the team that won did and just be like, I don't know. Anyway, no, Russell. I'm slurring my words. I did have a couple glasses of wine early today. I don't usually do that, but you know what it was? I poured myself a white last night. Had a little what was it? It wasn't Chardonnay. I'll go look in the trash can for the bottle. Yeah, it was Chardonnay. Yellowtail, to be exact. So I poured myself a little Yellowtail last night. I usually don't drink wine early in the day. I usually have it like later in the day. But I was up late last night, and I poured myself some Chardonnay. And then what I did was, tell me if I'm the only person that does this. Like, I'll be up, planning to get a little work done or whatever I'm doing to stay up, or why ever the reason is I'm staying up. I'll tell myself, like, let me just go lay down and take a little nap, get a little shut-eye, and then I'm going to get right back up and get back to it. And then I wake up and it's 8 o'clock this morning. So the wine was still sitting there. So I'm like, you know what? I had a cup of coffee. I'm not an animal. You know, I just wake up and drink a bottle or a glass of wine. But I did have myself a glass of white. And damn it, I had a glass of rosé right after it because I was like, you know what? I'm going to follow this up and have another one. And that is the thing about me, and I've said this before. I do like Cabernets. That's probably my favorite wine to drink. It's the manly wine to drink. But I will drink a Chardonnay. I will drink a good sweet white. I will drink a good sweet rosé. You know why? Because it freaking tastes good. And I don't need any other reason than that. Anywho, and then on top of that, I'll go and drink a thing of bourbon. So I'll drink a rosé 5 minutes ago, and they're gonna pour me a straight up thing of bourbon. We appreciate it all around here. So what else? So yeah, Westbrook getting a lot of the blame. I've been watching from a far, and that's one of my pet peeves is I try, because anytime, I mean, it's not just me, anytime anybody tries to talk about something that either they don't know what they're talking about, but they are expected. All right, let me see if I can describe this the best way. because this is something I do myself. Or I don't do this, I try to do not this, is what I'm saying. When somebody either doesn't know what they're talking about, or let's say they're not up to date, like they know about said thing, but they're not necessarily up to date on it. They haven't been watching lately. So me, the Lakers, and the NBA, I know NBA, but I haven't been watching as closely this season yet. I've been watching more football, so I'm not as up to date on why, like just details. There is no quicker way to make yourself look like an ass than to start spitting off bars about things you have no clue what you're talking about. And whether that's just purely you have no idea what you're talking about, but you're just trying to, or in my case here, I consider myself a sports person, but I haven't been watching the NBA that closely this season. Been watching more football. Plan on switching that and getting back into the NBA here, very soon, since the playoffs will be coming to a close here soon for the NFL. But besides the point, I would make myself look like an ass to sit here right now, and because I'm a sports guy and I'm supposed to know this, just sit here and start proclaiming things about the Lakers and proclaiming things about the Bucks and proclaiming things about all these different teams in the NBA. I'd make myself look like an ass. And a lot of times people will do that because like they are a sports person or like whatever it is you do, but you're not quite up to date on it. You haven't been paying as closely. Or here's another one. You just haven't been putting in the work to stay up to date on something. You've been kind of just a breeze by headline reader and you haven't really been looking at it in detail, and you start spitting off stuff and you have no idea what you're talking about. That's the quickest way to make yourself look like an ass. So I thought I heard something. I think it's my door. This is about to turn into a paranormal video real quick. But, yo, what the fuck is that noise? That was trippy. My washing machine was like creaking and cracking. I have to clip that. So anyway, I'm not going to sit here and claim to know specifically what I think the issues. Obviously, Westbrook's turnovers have been an issue, but I just struggle to heap all of this blame on Russell Westbrook. Like so much of the media, it's literally two of the easiest things to do in sports media right now is to blame Russell Westbrook for the Lakers' issues and to blame Aaron Rodgers for whatever the hell you want to blame Aaron, and just to act like Aaron Rodgers is the biggest asshole on this planet. Those are the two easiest things to do in sports media right now. But I digress. So the only thing I will say, watching years past Westbrook, and then the Lakers, the little bit that I have this year, from afar, what I would say I think would help the Lakers is if Russell Westbrook, and I don't know if it's going to happen, if he could accept a bench role. Because, and honestly, I thought, and I guess maybe this was me being a little naive, I don't think so. Like, I thought that Westbrook now a lot of this probably has to do with the fact that AD has been out too, but see, I thought originally that Westbrook was going to have more of a bench role on this Lakers team. Maybe not like barely used, not like that level of bench play, but like just coming off the bench, kind of like a Carmelo Anthony. Maybe just a more bigger role of that. That's what I thought because I thought that I thought Westbrook was a little more aware of like the situation, like him trying to be a solo. And again, I've not been watching the Lakers much this year, so maybe he's not doing this. But with what I'm hearing about the level of turnovers that he's been having, for the most part, it doesn't sound like he's gotten it through his head. If he would take more of a bench role and less of a solo act, I got to go get my triple-double role, I think the Lakers could be better. But again, I haven't been watching closely enough, so I don't know if Westbrook is completely to blame for everything. And I don't know the answer to that, but it would probably help if Westbrook would take more of a glorified bench role. Maybe. So, I don't know. That's just some random thoughts I had on that I kind of wanted to get off my chest. I'll tell you something else that I want to get off my chest, and we know Stetson Bennett is coming back this year now for Georgia. I don't know who else is coming back from this Georgia squad, but I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong about this, so again, take this with a grain of salt. I'm pretty sure Georgia's losing a fair amount of their weapons from this past year, but they're not losing Stetson Bennett. He's going to come back for his senior year. But this one little line that was kind of in my head that I wanted to kind of spit out here, clip it, because I thought it would make a good piece of content. This last Georgia team that just won it kind of reminds me of LSU in 2019, because obviously Georgia was stacked this year. They were the better team from top to bottom than Bama. They were the best team from top to bottom in the country. And obviously LSU was. Why is my washer continuing to make these noises? Like, I don't get it. It's like 1 minute it'll be a click and then another it'll be a thud. Like, I don't. My shit might be haunted right now. Maybe. Who the fuck? I'm sitting here trying to talk about fucking Georgia football and we go boom. Watch. I'll get back into what I was talking about and it'll go. I don't know. This shit's trippy. I'm sorry for the pause here. I mean, it's a live show, so whatever. I don't know. That was weird. I've been hearing some weird noises from my washroom this whole show. But yeah, I felt that Georgia this season was similar to LSU in 2019 in the sense that they had to win it this year. Now, Stetson Bennett coming back next year definitely is a big piece. I don't know, and I'm sure they're bringing in a great recruiting class. Now, obviously, they're losing one of their top receivers who is now going to Bama. I don't know his name, but I obviously saw the headline the other day. So that can't be good. But I'm sure they're bringing in good recruits, and I don't know who they're bringing back from this past year, but I don't think it's everybody. And that's why I think Georgia had to win it this year, just like LSU had to win it back in 2019, because obviously Joe Burrow, gone. A bulk of those incredible weapons. LSU, that was probably the best team we've ever seen. Just the Golden State Warriors of college football that 2019 LSU team. So they had to win it last year. They had to capitalize on that, and I think Georgia was not exactly, because again, Bennett's coming back, and I don't know who they're returning, but it ain't everybody, I don't think. And so that's why I think Georgia really had to capitalize on this moment, just like LSU had to capitalize on that moment in 2019. That's just something I kind of wanted to get off the top of my head because I was thinking about that, and just fun to talk about. But so I will say this, and we'll wrap it up here in just a little bit because Daddy gets to run some errands. So there's been a lot of talk. It kind of, and ironically enough, it's all been around OBJ. There's been a lot of talk in the past years, about how the stacked NFL team, kind of like how we've seen stacked, obviously, super teams in the NBA. Obviously, the Heat when LeBron and D-Wade and Bosh were together. the Cavs to another degree, LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love, and company. Obviously, the Warriors before KD ever even got there. Steph, Clay, Draymond, somebody else that I'm missing. The deep bench that they had. Then you add KD. Obviously, a juggernaut of a team like we've never seen before, other than maybe, I guess, the 96 Bulls. But honestly, I think the Warriors were better than that Bulls team, in my opinion. I think they just would. But there again, they play differently today than they did back then. More physical back in those days, which obviously benefited that 96 Bulls team. Would not have benefited probably the Warriors, but I think if the 96 Bulls comes to this era, plays that Warriors team, they get their shit wrecked. So it just a lot of different variables to it, but just pure talent, that Warriors team was better. So the concept that a NFL super team could not work the same as an NBA super team. An NBA super, and they don't work the same, but there's been this impression that it doesn't work at all. Troy Aikman has kind of said that. He actually said that about the Rams this year. How they got, obviously they got Stafford. Obviously they got OBJ. Obviously they got Cooper Kupp. Obviously they got Aaron Donald. Obviously they got Von Miller. Jalen Ramsey. Very capable running backs. Another wide receiver, Jefferson, I think his name is. And others I probably didn't even mention because they're that loaded. And a genius, Elon Musk with a clipboard and a headset of a football coach in Sean McVay. Troy Aikman was kind of saying he just doesn't think it works. I don't remember the exact words he said, but and then obviously, when the Browns kind of loaded up several years ago when they first got OBJ and they had Nick Chubb and they had Baker Mayfield and they had Barrett, a good solid defense. They had Jarvis Landry. They had who was there? I think Hooper was their tight end. No, Hooper just got there. Hooper was on the Falcons back then. But they were loaded, and there was kind of the consensus that just the super team doesn't work in the NFL like it does in the NBA. And I will agree that let's see here. Okay, so we got a viewer. Says, do hooligan fans in American football like and in European football? So I guess essentially, are American football fans are they hooligans like European football fans can be? We definitely have hooligan football fans in America, for sure, my friend. I don't know how hooligan or what level of hooligan they get over in Europe. I have heard different things. I assume you're talking about, obviously, soccer. But I would say that the Cowboy fans are like that. The Cowboy fans are the hooligan fans, for sure, of American football, just with their delusions and how literally every year they're going to the Super Bowl and then they get either knocked out in the first round with a pathetic performance like we saw this year and in years past, or they just go 8-8 and don't make the playoffs at all. But yet they got a Super Bowl team, which I guess in theory they do on paper, and the media falls for it every stinking year, and it's kind of funny to watch. And I called this and I said that the Cowboys were going to probably blow it in the first round of the playoffs because they were going to go to the playoffs this year because they had a very solid year at times. They started to really fall off, as the season progressed. But the media falls for it every year. The fans push for it every year. It's like I said, I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care who is on the team. I will never, ever call the Dallas Cowboys a contender for anything until they give me a reason to say that, a.k.a. they finally break through and at least get to an NFC championship game or get to a Super Bowl, and then if hell ever freezes over, win the Super Bowl. But I tell you right now, they weren't going to do it with Mike McCarthy as the head coach. That wasn't going to happen. I may have made that prediction on this show too at some point, that the reason that the final blunder for whatever ended their season would be some type of blunder from Mike McCarthy. And, some would argue he had a lot of blunders with 14 penalties and poor clock management all year. Like, I don't know, he's not a good coach. Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl in spite of Mike McCarthy on the Packers that time. Like, he's not a good coach. And again, it's a Cowboy-worthy move to hire him as your head coach. Put Dan Quinn in that spot. I would love to play for Dan Quinn. Like, did you see the energy on that Cowboys team and on that sideline when Dan Quinn filled in for Mark McCarthy when he had COVID earlier in the year? Like, it was like, all right, that could do something. That's a good vibe. But no, you got old, Mike McCarthy running the show. Because remember, we got to have somebody that Jerry Jones can control. We can't have somebody that would dare say, no, Mr. Jones, like, I understand you're the owner, but this is what we should do. And I think this could work. We don't want to hire somebody that would tell you that, and actually, maybe win you something in football. We got to continue the circus over there in Dallas. That is the Jerry Jones show. Don't want to get me started. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy talking about it because it's the same shit every year. The media falls for it. The fans push the narrative. Oh, they're going to the Super Bowl. Oh, they got a Super Bowl talented roster on paper. And then, Cowboys do Cowboy things. But to get back to my original point, the Rams proved, and they proved it a couple times in the regular season too, specifically, I believe it was week 17 against the Rams. It was either 16 or 17, but I think week 17 a couple weeks ago against the Ravens, when I think OBJ had some timely plays, just like Cooper Kupp, who absolutely should be considered for MVP. And I'm very surprised he hasn't been more in the conversation. I get it; it's a quarterback-driven league. I get it. Quarterbacks are going to be favored for that over others, but Cooper Kupp has got to be considered for MVP. He just has to. It would be completely negligent if he didn't. Okay, yeah. So our guest from earlier, he's giving a little more context here. So in Europe and South America, the fans do go beating against each other, breaking chairs in the stadium, even how many times they were killed because of it. So I have heard that football fans in Europe do get to that level. And I remember somebody was telling me one time where, like, they literally had to separate and barricade off half of the stadium for these fans, or this team's fans, and then half of the stadium for this team's fans, because it got that violent. Like, the security and the police were unreal, like standing in between these barricades, like, because it was that just hostile and dangerous. American football and American sports fans in general can get crazy, and I'm sure there's some out there that there's that little percentage of bad apples out there that would go to that level, but I don't think it's quite like European soccer or European football, at least from the stories that I've heard, especially based on, like, you kind of giving me some more insight to this. So no, I think it's a lot more hostile probably for European football if I had to guess. So definitely appreciate you popping in here and giving me that insight for sure. I love comments. Love hearing from the audience. But no, I think the Rams are proving that the NFL super team can work. It's just different than the NBA super team. It's not going to be this avalanche of offense and just this avalanche of good things like it is in the NBA, or like we saw from a Warriors team where it's just every 5 seconds a three, every 5 seconds something ridiculous happens, every 5 seconds Steph with a highlight play. It's not that volume of good things happening all at once, like an avalanche of offense or an avalanche of big defensive plays or whatever. What it is, though, is timely plays. So, in other words, Cooper Kupp with those 2 plays that ended the game and won it for the Rams, or, something similar where, all right, Cooper Kupp just had a big bomb of a play like that 70-yard touchdown early in the game against the Bucs, and then here, they kind of lock him up, and now here comes OBJ with a big play. Or Matthew Stafford makes a big play, or Von Miller makes a big stop. Jalen Ramsey makes a big stop. What it is more timely plays, and it's more options to have that big play that ices the game and that ends the game. So while it's not the volume of just play after play after play of just ridiculousness like an NBA super team, the NFL super team has more timely big plays to where and you've got more options for that big play to happen. So if Cooper Kupp doesn't get it, OBJ gets it, or Von Miller makes the stop, as he was up Tom Brady's ass several times in that game, that really does a number on the Buccaneers. A big 3rd and whatever play or a 4th and whatever, if it's come down to it, Von Miller gets the stop, and that's the timely play. So I think in that Ravens game that I was telling you about, OBJ had some of those timely plays late in the game. It was a very tight game, great game to watch. And OBJ had some timely plays like that. So I think the NFL super team, when it does work, and your players have to buy in too. And that's what NBA or NFL super teams, they implode and don't work because of the personalities on the team. Because each guy is a superstar, and each guy wants theirs and wants their touches and wants their shots. But when you've got guys that understand the situation and can really buy into the team and what we're ultimately trying to get to, which is the hardware at the end of it, and I think the Rams have done that, then you open yourself to have those timely plays from an OBJ or a Cooper Kupp or whatever. It's not so much like, I got to get mine. You are more able to sit back and wait for that moment to come for you to explode and burst onto the scene and show, who you are. You didn't do it, maybe a mass volume of it throughout the game, but that moment that mattered the most, there you were. You were OBJ in that moment. You were Cooper Kupp in that moment. You were Von Miller in that moment, and ultimately, the Rams are heading to the NFC title game because of it. So that is why that is how I think the NFL super team can work. So that is it for today. I got to wrap it up. I'm winded. That was a lot of chit chat. Appreciate our guests for popping in, talking a little European football with me. Love the comments. And that's why I do the live show. For this show specifically, is because I like to get you guys in here on air. We only have it once in a while, because I don't have, really much of an audience yet. But hopefully, in the future, we can have more people watching on the live show and really get you guys in and out of here. Because I love to put you guys' comments on and kind of put you guys on a little bit. So, because I think it gives you some love and some value, and that's what I'm all about. So, appreciate you tuning in to the Wilbur and Gold Show, episode 40. We've got a great divisional playoff coming up. The divisional chips. Joe Burrow, man. The Bengals. Who'd have thunk it, right? We knew he was good, but fuck. The Bengals and the Chiefs, that one's going to be epic. And then obviously the Niners, Rams. I think the Rams are going to handle business there. I'm more interested in the Bengals Chiefs, me personally. And it's so tough. I was telling my buddy the other day, the only team that I really could care less if they get into the Super Bowl or not is the Niners. Not to be a downer on the Niners, but I want the Rams to go. I'd like to see them get it. And I would love to see the Bengals in there, but I'd also love to see kind of the Chiefs in there, because I told you guys on one of the last episodes, the Chiefs are clowning on you right now because they were maybe not even going to make it into the playoffs earlier in the season, and now. So, and I love seeing people just make the media or overreactive fans eat their words and be like, come on now. You really doubted us? Stop it. So I love to see that. So great football coming up, and more hopefully great episodes of more great episodes of this show coming right here on the YouTube channel, Wilbur and Gold. Check it out. Subscribe, like, comment, as our friend did earlier. Episode 40, Wilbur and Gold Show. We'll see you next time.